Hello everyone, thank you once again for joining me on today's video episode. So today I want to continue with the Oracle security landscape. I started with the last video where I highlighted those components, software services where Oracle capability cut across database, cut across OCI, as Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, cut across applications cloud, that is Oracle functional applications, and some other service within the Oracle estate. And I am moving it forward today by building my first project. And this project is to demonstrate the capabilities I've highlighted within the Oracle security services landscape. The first thing I want to build today is Secure Landing Zone. Now, why this? Secure Landing Zone is a center for Internet Security Foundation Benchmark-compliant tenancy. Now, before any CN, before any compute, before any database or other service land within your environment or request it, there must be a best practice compliant, compartment being created so that you can have a well secured infrastructure layout. So that is what I want to achieve here. So you need compartment boundaries that make least privilege IAM enforceable. This project creates the 4-tier compartment hierarchy. I want to create 4 compartments here. I want to create 5 IAM groups with 0 standing, members, 5 policies that are explicitly, scope to individual compartment I've created. I will create a tag space for cost attribution and an audit export pipeline that retain every API calls for 365 days. That is a year. So now, every other thing that I will be building on subsequent episode, we kind of sit on this. So that is why I have to do this the right way. So stay with me while I demonstrate that. And before I move forward, the other thing I want to say is that my videos are not just, I'm not making videos for just to, make videos in such a way that it will be very shiny. I want to do it hands-on. I want to make the mistakes. I want people to see all sides and learn those things, so just bear with me if it's not, kind of well edited out. I don't really edit my video that much. I just want to make sure that people that are consuming these videos, they are people that are actually doing the real job and know the challenges, make the mistakes, and know how to achieve the result at the end of it. So here I have, if you look at my screen, I'm within the Oracle cloud infrastructure page. Now, when you go to services here, you see you have compute, we have storage, networking, database, AI, developer services, observability, hybrid, a lot of stuff here. These are the major group head for all the services. And for most of the job, work I'll be doing for this video, they fall under the identity and security. So when I click here, I can see, compartment. And the first thing I want to do is to create a compartment for my security workload. So for that, I am going to name it sec security, or let me say OCI security. So I'm going to say create compartment description is there. Let me say OCI security. So OCI sec security. So that compartment. So the next thing I will do, make sure if you look at me here, I will see that my root compartment, which is the root compartment, parent compartment. So I can go ahead and create. Now I will do other ones. From that, I will create network compartment. So what I will do here is but notice that when I want to create network compartment, I go inside security compartment. So I go there, and within it, you can see down there, you can see create compartment, and I'll give it the name again. So the name will be network. But here, if you look at the parent now OCI, the OCI sec. So if you cannot find it here, if you cannot find OCI sec, which is the resec, then there's a problem. That is what I want to point out to you. So now I have to cancel this and go back and refresh. That is one of the things I wanted to notice. Oracle kind of take time for it to show up. So please make sure you know. That's why when you have multiple ones, so make sure you check it properly that you're actually creating in the right directory. Okay, so let me this time around. Hopefully we have my naming convention is OCI sec, then network. Okay, so if you look at it now, you can see that the parent compartment that I just created before this one is here. So when I refresh, it came up. So just make sure you look out for that. So I can create this. So after that is created, you have to wait and make sure you refresh and that it actually come under this. So you can see the network compartment is created. So when I do that, then the next thing I want to create is the sandbox, or let me say the workload. Let me create the workload. So I want to create another one called workload. Okay, so I can here I say, so I'm within the network now. Then I will say create. So then I will go back here here, and I will call these workload. I'll call this one workload. So now I created security compartment, I created network compartment, then I want to create workload now. So workload should be within network. So here I can see security here, but there is no network here. There is no network here. So until I can get network, I cannot create that. Let me cancel and go back and refresh. So that is the work there. It's very important. So now if I go into this and I create a new one, like I did before, with a name, trying to adjust. Then now you can see that the first one I have security, the second one is network, and this should be the parent for my workload. When that is confirmed and properly done, then you create. Now, if you refresh after creation here, if you just refresh your browser, unfortunately Oracle doesn't have a refresh button that is easily available. Yeah, I didn't see anything here. Nothing refreshing. You can see it's created here, but I will still advise that you go back and refresh and then come back to it, navigate it again from security compartment to network to workload. Then from now I can create my last compartment, which is called a sandbox compartment. So let's get here. Oracle make a description very mandatory as well. So now you can see that workload is already here because I created within that. So sandbox should be within workload compartment. Workload compartment should be within network. Network should be within security. So now when I say create, so now I have all my compartment created according to my project. So if I come down here and if you look at my compartment, this security compartment, you can see how I have it, within. So that is that for compartment. So the next thing I want to do is to create identity and access management group. So how do I do that? I can go to my default tenancy and go to user. Here I can go to group. So these are groups I've created before. Maybe I should just thinking so let's move forward and create IAM group. So here you can come down here and say create groups, and for me I will create the first group. I always try to put the description first because I have my note here. So I will say from there I'll be able to pick up so I'll change my naming convention here to OCI Security Admin. So obviously, if you look at the name I give it, it's to tell you that I want this particular group to be scoped to the compartment called security. So, and what I want you to do is like manage this vault, cloud guide, security zone, audit. So that is what I will do. So then I can say there is another thing here that I just want to, user can access request, make requests, but that is not the point I'm trying to, or maybe the objective here is just to create a group. Is that. So the second group I want to create is to go down there and create group, IAM group. I'll call these for the network, obviously. So I'm going to call it network admins. And if you look at it, to manage the gateways, the load balance, and other network services create. And the third one, create is for the workload admin. I'll go back, I'll say create group, I'll put here, take away the name, that will correct this for workload administrators, and we'll say go. Then the other one is for the audit. Go back, create groups from there as well. The reason why I'm allowing you to do this through me is that the process, I don't want you to be lost in between, because by the time I skip some step maybe from the video and it shows up in other subsequent steps, you might be wondering how do we get it. So bear with me while I take you through the process. And let's create the last one here. It's breaking the ceiling or breaking the glass for emergency admins, firefighter, then break glass. Okay, I think that is fair enough. So if you come back here and you look at this page, all the groups I've created, there are like 5 in numbers, right? So now, so far in this video, I've created 4 compartments, 4, compartmentalized, source containers, and I've created IAM groups that will be scoped to those compartments. So that is what we have done. So the next step is for us to move forward and create policy. So here we have some, some stores that do come up, but I just wanted to be with it. So now the first policy I want us to create for the security admin is for the security admin. So how do we create policy? So let's create the policy. So here you can go to policies here, and you get to the policy page and you say create policy, and you can give it a name. For instance, let me look at call these what name can, let me say security. What I will say here. Then if you go down here, show editor policy, so manage consistency. Okay, so here I think I need to put a level of this. I can just security admin. So here I can go ahead and say this does not exist. So where are we here? Security again. So we have it scope. So it should be scoped to the, let me say it should be attached to the root, tenancy or compartment, but it should be scoped to the compartment. So here I have, I think I have everything figured out. When I click, create, yes, that, so I have that. Anyways, I have there's some quirk that I will add to it later, but let me go ahead and create the second one. So I want to create a policy for network. So let me call it, let's do this. Let me create another one here. Just call it network policy. Should build it with that. Have a look at the policy. It says allow OCI, the network admins, to manage virtual network farming compartment is the name of the. But I want to change this name. So here too, because this name have to exist in the others for tenancy for. So let me give it a shot so you can see it does not be part of. So let me check that. So some little errors, some little errors can cause you errors. So I think there is a hyphen that I missed there, so you can create OCI. So let me explain why we are having some of the issues we are having, this error we are having here. But remember, when I created the compartment hierarchy, what I did was to create the first one, which is security. Now, the second one was network, and the third one was workload. The fourth one was, the other one. Now, if you look at this, this policy builder here, what I did here is that because I want this to be applicable to network admins, this policy. But remember that network was sitting right inside of security. So for Oracle to be able to interpret that policy properly, I need to reference the model, the parent compartment, which is security. So what I'm saying now is that look into security, and from security look downward. So that is, you can see here I have a security compartment, then full colon, the network compartment. Now, I have the same thing here, but if you come down here, you see that when it comes to attaching policy to network directly, I just say attaching to security directly. I did not reference it because security is directly under root, which is like the root compartment. So I just want you to know that. So now let's try to create this. You can see that the error went away. So just so you know that the way you create your hierarchy in terms of compartment will determine the way you scope your policy as well. Okay, so the next thing I want to create is another policy that I will call okay, we have created those policies. So let me create another one, and this one around is going to be for workload. So let me call it a workload policy. One sec, we go. I can move back in, and here's a policy again. The name here. Then I can always do just stuff. Call the workload admin policy. And this time around, that okay. Then just move around and say what I see that. Let me be okay. So now let's look at the policy here. I have the policy here. If you look at this, I'm saying is compartment. It should be applicable to security workload within. Yes, it should be compartment security, but it should network, and it should be. You can see that we have. I have the you can see the pattern here. Okay, like the parent compartment security, then follow by network, then follow by workload. So I kind of put the right part here. So I just want to get that one. I want to get that information out there. So I will say create. See now it's also created. If I move back, so far I have like 4. So the other one I want to create is auditors policy. So let's get it. So I will say create policy here and go ahead about the policy. Policy service here is applied to the tenancy, When you apply to the tenancy, you don't need to kind of specify the full part. So you go here and that is created. But then the other one, the last one I want to create is for breaking the glass. Yeah, so I can call that breaking. I have just one policy and it's scope to the tenant. So far I have like 5. I have this policy 1, 5. I have 5 policies, and some of them have like 4 states, some 5, 7. But there is one that I will still have to update. And let me come back to that. So sometimes one of the things I just want to show us that sometimes need, I don't know, for some reasons you might need to get into the statements. And yes, so this is manually. You can do basic, add the rules here. Some kind of very difficult to to use the advanced features to. But on the other hand, if you want to, what I've been doing, you can always use the advanced feature and stuff. So I just want to call that out. But after this, what I want to go in for, according to the objective of the particular project, to do tag namespaces and audit S. So let's get into it. So tag namespaces, you go to governance and administration, and from there you'll be able to see tag namespace under tenancy management. So when you on that, so I think I have existing tags there, but what I want to create here is what I call let me call this one security tag. So go here, create, and call it visual application. It's going to give you like that. Good, great. Maybe I can just to make everything. Namespace cannot start with ORC. Yes, so I think it cannot start with ORCL or OCI. I think I get that a lot. So just so you know, I think that name is reserved. You can go ahead, create. Okay, but under description, I think I could have done something better, like giving it the what I want it to write. So maybe I can come here, say, yeah, I have to retire the tag. So if I don't want it again, I have to retire it. But okay, it's fine. So then the other thing I want to do is to create another tag called environment. So let's create this second tag. So I call this one, I want to call it environment. So the name will be environment, and I will just say for the description I will say enable cost tracking, and for the rest is going to be uname. So under this place you come here. So let's look at what we created. Let me go back. So we created a tag namespace called the tags, set tags. So when you want to define tags within this space, now you go inside this namespace, and under that you create tag definition, so create. And here I have some fact value you want put here. The tag can be name, and description is enable cost tracking, and here is a enum, and what I want to here you see if I say cost tracking, and come down here and put the values. So for the value here I will just prod, non-prod, prod, sandbox. So these are the values I want to. So this tag now will be applicable to those three environments like said. So I'll say create. So that is created. So I want to create another tag within the same name, with the namespace, and I'm going to call this one owner. So and I will go here, say create tag definition again, call the owner, then no tracking here. I'm going to say, I'll just say, I don't know what is as a validator, okay, maybe something like that. Then I'm not going to track anything. Then I'm going to just no value. I'm just going to say static value. I'm just going to create. Then I'm going to do another one that is called ManagedBy. The name is managed. Then I'm going to bring in enum validators. So I'm going to say list of value. I'm going to put that here that these are the value. You can have a terraform, we can have pipe size. So here, if you look at the reason why I'm having this error is that this particular description shouldn't be empty. So means of deploy. So I just put description there, and you can see that it goes where. So far now in this video, I've created 4 compartments. I've created 5 identity and access management group, and I've created policy. I've created like 5 policies or even more than that. Then I've created a tag space and tags that are applicable to those spaces. So the other thing I want to do here is to create audit log bucket. So here we go a bit back, and I'll go to storage, and here I can do bucket. So this storage bucket is made to keep audit log. So now when I get here, I can come here and create bucket, and the name of this bucket could be, it should be in security compartment, and the name of this bucket is so let's see that already. So namespace is not regional, namespace is good, default storage tier standard is good. What other thing do I need to enable? So I need to, you can see here we have enable auto tiering, so automatically move infrequently access object from standard tier to less expensive tier depending on your scope and what the workload. You can create an object versioning when new object is uploaded, existing object is waiting. You can emit object event, like create automation based on object state change, uncommitted multi-part upload, cleanup. All these things be done. Now you can encrypt this log file, the log data, and you can ask Oracle to manage encryption key. So you can encrypt it too using your own managed provider. So for this purpose of this demonstration, I'll just leave that to Oracle manage. So for the versioning, I'm going to enable the versioning for one reason or the other, and enable resource logging to allow resource tracking, troubleshooting. I don't think I'm going to do that for now. So the next thing I'm going to say is create bucket. So you can see now the bucket is created. And when I open it, the next thing to be able is object look at that. So if you look at here, you can see that the compartment, I think I missed that compartment shouldn't be, some regions don't have a fixed scope. Default is namespace scope. Bucket is only with that tenancy we are getting. So okay, so now that is created, what do I need to do again is to look at is to open the I open the bucket, and let me look at the name. So let's look at this object version is this is not enabled management. So you can move around it here and look at how you can create a pre-authenticated request. You can look at objects here. So for instance, if I want to have upload object here, so I can say create a new folder. I can go to monitoring and go to tags and say you should add tag, and so the most important thing I want to do is to go to policy under your bucket. I just want to create some rule here. So that is what I just want to do. Lifecycle policy. So I can add rule here. Create, say the name, archive 90 latest version, previous version. I can just keep latest version. I will just say move to archive. So what I want is I move to archive 90, and the number of days, make that 90, and yes. So while that is done, then the other prefix this. So another thing I would like to add is to go to optional name filter here. I would like to include some my prefix audit / audit. So that is what I will do. Every other thing is cool. Move to archive after 90 days. The name is archive 90 days. Then there is something here that I wanted to, it's a warning that you are missing an IAM policy statement in your tenancy, and here I can actually try to add it directly. So I can say, okay, this is console IAM policy give it a name. I think I missed that, and I'm okay with every name it give. So I can just create that. So that is created, and now that I have everything, I can create this rule. So policy updates are not immediate across all regions. So the policy update can take several minutes to propagate to all services or regions. So permission granted to the object storage service principal D to this bucket are insufficient. Okay, so what's going on? So it says policy added successful. Let me look into that. So if you look at the error we have here, it's talking about a policy I don't have right now. That is object storage for my region. That is Central Canada, Montreal 1. So here I went back to go and create that policy. I call it object storage CA Montreal, and I granted this statement here. So let's get back and see what we got. If I try to recreate it again, we kind of refresh. Oracle is big on refresh. Refresh, I think that is gone. So let me create a new policy called what do I call this? 90, right? Archive. So is there another thing I need to do again? Let me add a call the filter. Call it audit. Audit. Say create. Well, so here we go. We have the policy refresh. So we have it 90. Okay, good. So the other thing we can do is for me to create another one. I call it 5 days. This one, the 5 day version. This time I will just say this. We have my audit. I have lifecycle policy for this particular story for my audit trace events. So now, after that is done, then let me go to what I call service connector to stream the audit now, audit log to this story that I have created. Okay, so if you look at it, we see that when you get to your home, you go to observability and management, and from there you go to service. Let's look at service, and from service connector. Let's look for service connector or service. The connect is connected name. Call it CIS connector. So the compartment security. And so what are these S do I have is source logging and log. Now if you look at everything, source logging and whatever I tick blank, then the other thing I will. So the next thing we do here under source, you want to leave source empty. But under here you want to use object storage. You see that when you choose object storage, compartment comes up. Then under the bucket and every other thing kind of then enable log. You can enable your log, the log of the log, like audit log. So but that is not what I want to do here. So I think everything is, but there's a one here, create default policy allowing this connector to write to object storage in compartment. I will say you should go ahead, I will allow that. And after that, then I can go ahead and create this policy. At least one source required. Okay, so yes, do login. Login comes up, but I don't need to add any other because when you say it should be login, then every other. So this is what we have here, and come to the end of this and in the beginning. So what I've done is have created I now have a CIS compliance tenancy foundation with 4-tier compartment hierarchy, security, network, workload, and sandbox. Then I have an IAM, 5 IAM with 0 standing members, 5 privilege policy, tag namespace for cost tracking, and 365 days audit log pipeline. Everything else in subsequent video within the. And if you go back to see if I can get back storage, we'll have see what we have. So this we don't have yet. Okay. But that is how to get this done. It was a long haul, but it's really worth it. We learn a ton. I learned a ton myself. And then the next project, we be on hub and spoke network security, and that we expand. Thank you. See you in the next one.